Hello everyone, welcome back to HM Learnings. In this video, we will discuss about the conducting system of heart. I have already made the video on the properties of cardiac muscle and the brief introduction of the heart. So if you haven't watched, please go and watch it. The link is in description box and in the I button. This whole series of cardiovascular physiology will be available in both languages, Hindi and English. So if you haven't subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. So let's start. So firstly, we will see what is conducting system and what is the role of the conducting system in the heart. So conducting, the name itself says that something is being conducted. And what is being conducted? The electrical impulse is conducted from one part of the heart to the another part of the heart. In previous video, we have seen that the sinoatrial node, SA node, is the pacemaker of the heart because it has the ability to generate the rhythm, to generate the electrical impulse by its own. So that means the SA node and the other parts of the conducting system, they have a function to generate the impulse as well as to transmit it from one part of the heart to the another part, because SA node is located in the right atrium. But each and every part of the heart has to receive an electrical stimulus. So that is done by the conducting system. So the role of the conducting system is number 1, to generate the electrical impulse, number 2, to take it to every part of the heart. Now you will ask, what is the electrical stimulus and what is the need of electrical stimulus? You can relate the electrical stimulus with the current. So current is what? Because it is because of the ions. So similarly, in our body there is electrical potential on the membrane, which is because of the ion distribution across the membrane. So whenever this electrical potential changes, there is some sort of the signal which is received by the cell. Normally this electrical stimulus is changed and is called as a depolarization. So what happens when a cell is depolarized? It gets some signal. So when a muscle, the cardiac muscle which meets the heart, it receives a signal called as the electrical signal, it will give a mechanical response in response to this electrical change on the membrane, or in response to this depolarization. So the mechanical response of the muscle will be what? It will be contraction of the muscle. Okay, so there will be electrical impulse generation by the SA node. The other parts of conducting system will take it to the every part of the heart, and when the muscle receives this electrical stimulus, there will be a mechanical response, which is the contraction of the cardiac muscle, and hence the heart will be able to pump the blood. So that means the conducting system has to be very, very organized. The conducting system has to generate the rhythm in a proper way, in a regular rate and in a regular rhythm, because the contraction and the pumping of the blood depends upon this functioning of the conducting system. So in this diagram, there are all the parts of the conducting system. The SA node is located in the right atrium. From the SA node has generated the electrical impulse. Now the impulse will be taken up by the internodal pathways to the atrioventricular node. From the atrioventricular node, the impulse will be taken towards the ventricle with the help of bundle of His. The bundle of His, on entering the interventricular septum, will divide into two. Left bundle branch going towards the left ventricle, right bundle branch going towards the right ventricle. The left bundle branch will divide into further two, anterior fascicle going into the anterior part of the left ventricle, and the posterior fascicle going into the posterior part of the left ventricle. Right bundle branch doesn't have such branches, directly divides into Purkinje fibers, which goes into each and every ventricular myocyte. So this is the general layout of conducting system. Now we see each and every part of conducting system in a little detail. So the first part is SA node. SA node is primary pacemaker of heart. It is primary pacemaker of heart because it generates a rhythm in a regular rate and in a regular rhythm because of the property called as the autorhythmicity. So autorhythmicity already I have explained in the properties of cardiac muscle. You can go and check that video. The location is the superior posterolateral wall of right atrium near the opening of superior vena cava. Now, conduction velocity. So what is conduction velocity? Conduction velocity means how much distance will be covered by the impulse in second in the SA node tissue. So that is very low, 0.05 meter per second. So action potential type in the SA node is slow type. So it is slow type because it is a pacemaker. Usually in the pacemakers, the action potential type is slow type. So about action potential, I will cover when we discuss about the electrophysiology of heart. So in that I will cover that there is slow response action potential, fast response action potential. So there this point will be covered, that why it is slow and why it is fast. Then we move on to the next part of the conducting system, that is the internodal pathways. So they are three bundles of the atrial fibers that connect the AV node and the SA node. So that is what is called as the internodal, means between the two nodes. These two nodes are the SA node and the AV node. And what are these three bundles? Anterior, middle and posterior. So anterior one is also called as the tract of Beckman. Middle tract is called as the tract of Wenckebach. Posterior tract is called as the tract of Thorel. Now anterior tract, that is tract of Beckman, gives a branch to left atrium. So we can understand this. I am drawing a diagram here. You can understand from that. This is the SA node and this is the AV node. So between these two there are internodal pathways. So one is the posterior one is the middle one, and one is the anterior one. So this is anterior, this is middle, and this is posterior. And this anterior one, that is the Beckman tract, it will give a branch to the left atrium. Okay, so you can see this diagram also. SA node, three internodal pathways, anterior, middle and posterior. So from the interior, one branch goes to left atrium to depolarize the cells of the left atrium. Okay, so conduction velocity here is about 1 meter per second. So it is much higher as compared to the SA node, where it is only 0.05. So why it is higher? Because here the fibers are large. Here the fibers have a large diameter as the Purkinje fibers have. Okay, so when a cell has a large diameter, means what will happen? The diameter will also be large and the resistance inside the cell, that is the internal resistance, will also be less. So the passage of the ions will be easier. The ions can conduct, they can move more easily and more rapidly. So the conduction will become ultimately rapid. Then we move to the next part, that is the AV node. So AV node located at the right posterior portion of the interatrial septum. Action potential type is slow response type, because AV node is also sometimes act as a pacemaker when the SA node is not able to act. So AV node is a latent pacemaker. So that we cover when we discuss about conduction disorders. So this point will be clear there, that what is the role of the AV node. Then a very important property of AV node, that it allows the impulse conduction from atrium to ventricles only, not from the ventricles to atrium. So unidirectional, from atrium to ventricle only. So this is also having a very important role in the disorders. So why it is important, we will cover when we cover about the conduction disorder. We will highlight this point there also. The conduction velocity in the AV node is 0.05 meter per second. Again, very less. Okay, so why this conduction velocity is low and what effect it leads to? So it leads to an effect called as the AV nodal delay. So because there is delay in the at the AV node, because at the AV node there is decrease in the conduction velocity and it causes a delay in the impulse transmission. This is called as the AV nodal delay. So how much is their delay? So the delay is about 0.1 to 0.13 second. So with this diagram you can understand that suppose the SA node generates the impulse at 0 second. Now if the SA node generates the impulse at the 0 second, you can see that the impulse is then taken up by the internodal pathways to the AV node and it reaches to the AV node at about 0.03 seconds. Okay, so after about 0.03 seconds it reaches the AV node, but when it enters into the ventricle at about 0.16 second. So how much delay is there at the AV node? About 0.13 second delay occurs at the AV node. But in the rest of the part you can see after entering into the ventricle the impulse transmission is very rapid. In almost about next few seconds the impulse is transmitted to every part of the heart, every part of the ventricle. But why the impulse transmission here is so slow? Also you can see that in the atrium the internodal pathways transmit the impulse very rapidly, but the other atrial myocytes, they have a less transmission rate, and that's why in the rest of the part of the atrium the impulse reaches later. So why there is AV nodal delay? Why there is such a delay, such great delay in the impulse transmission? So this reason is that this will allow the atrium to complete its contraction ahead of the start of the ventricular contraction. So this point you can clear that atrium starts depolarizing, it completes its depolarization in about 0.1 second, and then ventricle is still the ventricle is not depolarized, but after the atrium become depolarized the atrium will start what? It will start contracting. So because the ventricles haven't complete their depolarization till yet, what will happen? They will not start contracting. So atrium will ultimately contract ahead of the ventricular contraction, because between the atrium and the ventricular depolarization there is a gap, there is a delay, and that delay serves the purpose of the active filling of the ventricle. So we know in the ventricle there is passive filling and active filling. Active filling occurs when the atrium is contracting but the ventricles are relaxing. For receiving the blood, the ventricle has to be relaxed, and that is why the atrium completes its depolarization ahead and complete its contraction ahead of the ventricular contraction, so that when it contracts the ventricles are in relaxed state and they can receive the blood, otherwise they won't be able to receive the blood. So that is the significance of the AV nodal delay. Now how this AV nodal delay occurs? This occurs because the small nodal cells, AV nodal cells are small, they have a small diameter, and that's why they will give a higher resistance. Small cell means that there will be higher resistance. Then the slow response action potential, and lastly fewer gap junctions. Fewer gap junction means there will be more internal resistance. The ions will be not able to pass that much rapidly because the gap junctions are low, they are less in number. So this is about the AV nodal delay, importance of AV nodal delay, mechanism of AV nodal delay. So now you should answer this question properly because it can be asked in your university examinations. Next, bundle of His. So after AV node, bundle of His comes. So bundle of His is basically continuation of AV node, and the conduction velocity is how much? It is about 1 meter per second. Next we move on to the other part, that is the bundle branches. So the His bundle will give two branches, left bundle branch and right bundle branch. Left bundle branch will go to left ventricle, right bundle branch will go to the right ventricle. Left bundle branch will give off the anterior fascicle branch and posterior fascicle branch. Anterior fascicle branch will go to the anterior part of the LV and posterior will go to the posterior part of the FV. Next is the Purkinje fibers. So Purkinje fibers, they are the largest cells and the fastest conducting cells in our heart. Because they are the largest, that means they have a large diameter. Large diameter means very less internal resistance. Then they have a numerous gap junctions. Numerous gap junctions will allow again to lower down the internal resistance and allow the rapid movement of the ions. So rapid movement of the ions means rapid spread of action potential. Rapid, there will be fast conduction of the impulse. So it will be fastest cell in our heart. The action potential here is fast response time and conduction velocity is highest, 4 meter per second. So Purkinje fibers, they go and innervate each and every cardiac myocyte. Now this is a table which I have taken from the Genon. You can refer to this. It shows the conduction rate of each and every part of the conducting system. It is important. Now, what is the pattern of the spread of the excitation and how the depolarization and repolarization is happening? So from the SA node, the impulses go to the internal pathways and from there it will reach to AV node. Now, after reaching AV node, the impulse will go to the His bundle. Now, His bundle enters into the intraventricular septum and after entering, what will happen? The depolarization wave first go to the left bundle branch and then after going to left bundle branch, it will pass across the intraventricular septum and then go to the right bundle branch. And from there, the impulse will go towards the apex of the heart. From the apex, this is the base of heart, this is the apex of heart. So from the apex of the heart, the impulse will then go to the base of the heart. So first the impulse will go to the left side of the intraventricular septum, then it passes through the intraventricular septum, comes in the right bundle branch, go towards the base, apex of the heart and then from the apex of the heart to the base. So the depolarization occurs from apex to base and from endocardium, that is from the inner layer of the heart to the outer layer of the heart. Endocardium to epicardium. Innermost layer to outermost layer of the heart. So depolarization is from endocardium to epicardium. Repolarization is from epicardium to endocardium. Totally opposite. Very, very important. Then the last part of the heart to be depolarized are the posterobasal portion of the left ventricle, pulmonary conus and the uppermost part of the septum. So this is again a very, very important statement. So this is a small homework for you. You have to write your answers in the comment section. What is the fastest conducting part in the heart? What is the reason? I have mentioned these things in the video. What is the slowest part in the heart and what its reason? So these are the two questions you have to ask. You have to answer in the comment section. So this is the end of this video. If you like this video, please like, share and comment. If you have any doubt, let me know and please subscribe to HM Learnings. Till then, keep learning.